Welcome to True Crime and Wine Time. I'm Terry.
And I'm Lana.
Tonight, we are uncorking the truth behind one of the darkest crimes and breaking it down together with you.
One case, one conversation, and one or maybe two glasses of wine to take the edge off. It's time to get comfortable and double check those locks before we get started.
So let's take a sip and dive in.
I forgot we made that.
I know. I was like, why am I hearing my voice?
Me too. I was like, what is do I have another window open somewhere? Like, what is happening?
And we're back.
And we're back. What a great season opener that was for us.
I know. It was a surprise for us too.
Love Diana. Oh, I forgot we did that. That was courtesy of the lovely Buffy. Hi, Angie. Birthday girl still. It's her birthday week.
Do something that was on our to-do list that we actually finished.
We did. Nailing it in 2026, I'll tell you what.
But let's not go that far.
The bar is very low, you guys. It's very, very low.
I don't know about you, but I was nervous tonight.
I was too.
I was like, it's not like I haven't been on camera.
I know.
But I was nervous about tonight.
Buffy, I was telling him, I was like, I don't know why. I'm so nervous. And he was like, I don't know why you are either, you nerd. You're on like 8 hours a day every day. And I was like, yeah, but this is different somehow.
How it's different.
Brains are fun. So there's that.
But
I'm so happy to be back.
I am too. Happy 2026. If there's anybody who hasn't been around to see us on anything else.
That's true.
And
all of our pod friends, hello. Happy New Year's to you. Love this.
All I know is, I don't know about you guys, why does January always seem like 6 months long?
I know, right?
I mean, I thought it was the trial you were covering over on California, but I'm like, no, I think it's just everything else feels like that.
I think in Monmouth County, New Jersey, they figured out how to slow down time.
Oh,
I'm pretty convinced about it.
Okay.
Actually, it's my new conspiracy theory I'm putting out there.
Okay. I mean, I'll take it. And hello, everybody in the chat.
Hello. My gosh, we're live everywhere. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all over the place. Hello, Mama Llama.
Hi, Mama Llama. I hope you're feeling better, Mama Llama. I know you were not feeling well there for a little while.
I did talk to her on the phone the other day, and she did sound a lot better than she did 2 weeks ago, but she's still having a rough go at it. So,
Wow.
That's weird.
I hope she feels better. And in case this is your very first time here, I am Terry True Crime.
And I'm Llama. That's right, in case you didn't pick that up. So hello. Hello, turkey sandwich. That sounds delicious, actually.
I am hungry. Could I get a turkey sandwich? I didn't have time to eat before this.
I love it. Well, thank you guys all for being here tonight. Why don't you we got a long one for you guys tonight. So we buckle up. We're starting the season out real strong. Hopefully.
We're just going to start off because Llama picked a case again, and it's dark. So
it is. Yes.
But before we begin, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or we drop an episode. Because if you're new here, we have been known to go live randomly because I feel like it or Llama does.
Right. As if I don't stream enough. Now, if you're listening to this as a pod, please download and leave a rating and review as it helps our little pod get noticed, and we'd really appreciate it. So thanks.
And guys, you can also become a member. Okay. If you need more of us, it comes with all kind of perks. I mean, we have perks for the perks, I feel like.
That's true.
And they start at a very reasonable 99 cents, right? So just click the join button and pick which tier works best for you.
I love that. I love that. So real quick, let's talk about what we're covering tonight. Tonight, we're going to be covering the unsolved Lane Bryant murders that took place just outside of Chicago, Illinois in 2008. 3 days ago marked the 18th anniversary. And so we wanted to discuss it and put out this case in hopes that someone out there may have answers. I'm going to warn you all now. Tonight's show is going to be an emotional one and a sad one. I cried writing it, Terry cried reading it, and now we're going to try to say it out loud in our words, and we're probably going to cry. Just to let you know, we're criers, okay? We have hearts, we're humans, and it's a very, very good story. So go grab your Kleenexes while we tell y'all what we're drinking tonight.
I grab mine. Oh, and they matched me today. How about
that? I love that. Of course they do. Of course they're pink.
So I bought wine for tonight that I was going to drink, but I am going to be honest and transparent that I've had a rough week and I'm not going to push my luck because I don't want anything really unusual or uncomfortable to happen on camera.
Of course.
So I'm having watermelon flavored sparkling water.
Well, that's okay. That's still
But you know what? I feel better today than I have felt in months. So I'm not pushing my luck.
Good. We'd rather have you here telling a story than laid up in bed like you've had to be earlier this week. Well, don't worry, because I am drinking for both of us.
Oh, okay. What you drinking?
I actually haven't drank very much since we've been off the last couple months, but I got me a big old bottle of Barefoot Riesling. Nothing fancy. I know it's our first show, but it was last minute. I even told Terry earlier I wasn't drinking anything.
I thought you were drinking water with me.
Yeah, no, I changed my mind. I decided to treat myself. So I've already.
I almost did. I went and asked Double H. I said, so what do you think about me having just one glass of wine?
Right.
He goes, I'm going to leave that up to you.
Oh,
like, can you not just be an adult for me? So
right. Thanks. But, all right. Well, that's what we are drinking tonight. And how about we go ahead and start getting into tonight's case? Shall we? Okay.
Yes, we should. Right. So on the morning of, excuse me.
Hello, Craig. Hello.
Craig's here.
Yeah, Craig's here. Look at that.
Oh, Craig's. I'm sorry. I'm still learning the new monitor situation. So everybody bear with me. So on the morning of Saturday, February 2nd, 2008, in Tinley Park, Illinois, Rhoda McFarland was driving to work a shift at the Lane Bryant store in Brookside Marketplace. Now, before we get into the awful events that day, I think it's important to understand who Rhoda McFarland was, because just like all the other women in this story, she was never just a victim in a headline, guys. Mm-hmm. Okay? She wasn't. Now, Rhoda McFarland.
Oh, there's Amy. Amy stopping it. Crashing the party.
I was like, what am I missing back there? I bet she is loving herself for that.
I know, right? Our producer back there.
So Rhoda McFarland was born Rhoda Hamilton on January 10th, 1966. And she grew up in Joliet, Illinois, on the outer edge of Chicago.
So beautiful.
It is so beautiful, but right now
she's so beautiful.
She is
gorgeous.
She is gorgeous. I'm going to just go on a limb here and say I love her hair. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love the wispy hair like that. Now, she was one of 5 children, okay? And from a young age, those who knew her described her as courageous, compassionate, and driven. And I'm going to tell you, I love all of those descriptions.
Yeah.
I love them, okay? And she was the kind of kid who grew into a smart, hardworking young woman, someone who showed up, stepped up, and helped others whenever she could.
And we're going to see that this is exactly who she is. So after graduating from high school in 1984, Rhoda chose a noble path that immediately says a lot about her character. She enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, and during her service, she trained to become a nurse practitioner and spent about 3 years stationed at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, which is a very big deal. Even after her active duty ended, she stayed on in the Air Force Reserves, continuing that commitment to service. But the military wasn't the only place Rhoda felt called to serve. Faith played a major role in her life. Rhoda eventually became ordained and worked as a full-time minister. When disagreements with church leadership later pushed her to step away from the role, it forced Rhoda into an early midlife reset, we're going to call it, that left her figuring out what was going to come next for her life.
Now, Rhoda ended up returning back home to the Chicago area, and she threw herself back into the community. She became the pastoral assistant at Embassy Christian Center in Crest Hill, which is just right down the road a few miles from where she grew up in Joliet. Now, she didn't just hold the title, guys. She did the work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Rhoda helped launch youth programs, worked to support formerly incarcerated people reentering society, and even created a project called Princess Unveiled, which focused on helping young girls prepare for adulthood. Guys, that says a lot about her.
I know.
Just the title of it is just so.
I imagine a lot of things were probably pink too, Terry.
I'm like,
sparkly.
Yeah, that's the only color. But by her mid-40s, Rhoda had been through a divorce and was facing the reality of starting over professionally. And she wasn't exactly thrilled about it. Okay.
Fair.
I mean, fair. For a while, she worked for Nicor Gas. And during that chapter of her life, she also found love again.
Aww.
Guys, it can happen. It can happen. So Rhoda began dating a man named Stuart Gibbs. And by the winter of 2007, the two were engaged and looking ahead to their future together.
Aww.
It's love month. I'm sappy.
I know. Well, hello, Misty. Happy to see you here at night, too. Great to have you. And Lady in Gray as well. She does sound amazing. Like Rhoda is a far more amazing individual than I am. I'll tell you that. So as she was looking forward to a future with Stuart, then came Lane Bryant. Rhoda applied with the idea that it would just be something temporary to bridge the gap. But once she was hired, something clicked. She was quickly promoted to store manager, and to her own surprise, she genuinely enjoyed the job. It gave her a sense of purpose and kept her engaged. Most importantly, though, it let her keep doing what she always did, which was looking out for others. Rhoda even used her employee discount to buy clothes for people who couldn't afford them. Like, this woman cannot get better, to be honest with you. Like, she's just so...
That's a good person.
She's a very good person. Now, during the winter of 2007 into 2008, she stayed incredibly involved at the store. She regularly came in on days she wasn't scheduled, especially on the weekends, because she knew her employees could get overwhelmed. And the first weekend of February, Lane Bryant had just sent out flyers for a major clearance sale, and Rhoda knew her skeleton crew was about to feel the pressure. I've worked retail during an annual sale, and oh boy.
I have as well. And I always am like, why is there a skeleton crew? So on that Saturday morning of February 2nd, 2008, even though it was her day off, Rhoda decided to go in anyway. And it was the kind of decision she had made her entire life to show up, to help, and to take care of others. And as Rhoda stepped out of her car into the cold morning air, she couldn't have known that this ordinary, generous choice would permanently alter the lives of everyone who loved her and an entire community that would soon be searching for answers.
Yep. Obviously, I think we all know this story doesn't have a happy ending. So,
thanks, Lama.
So also on the morning of Saturday, February 2nd, 2008, Sarah Szafranski was not headed to work. Instead, she was doing something small, something ordinary, the kind of errands that no one remembers afterwards unless it's the last one. Sarah was just 22 years old, the youngest of the women who would be killed that day. She was born on May 26, 1985, the oldest of three children, and from an early age, she carried herself with a quiet sense of responsibility. She was thoughtful, structured, and serious in the way that people often are when they care deeply about doing things right.
Now, she grew up in Oak Forest, Illinois, where she was known as a standout student long before she ever set foot into the Lane Bryant store. So, guys, in high school, she excelled at nearly everything she touched. I think they call that the Midas touch. She was a member of the National Honor Society, frequently named to the honor roll, and was recognized as an Illinois state scholar.
Yeah, smarty pants.
Smarty pants, but also talented because she played clarinet in the concert band, competed on the badminton team, worked on the yearbook staff, and even earned recognition as a mathlete.
That's not us.
I'm like,
we're not.
I had to Google that, but it was after she turned in a perfect paper.
Oh.
So she wasn't just academically gifted. She was thoughtful, she was disciplined, and she was deeply engaged in her school community.
Yes. After graduating high school in 2003, Sarah went on to Northern Illinois University, earning her degree in 2007. Friends and family spoke proudly about how recently she had finished college and landed a professional job, described variously as working in banking, accounting, and as a paralegal. All signs of a young woman building a stable and promising career. She was doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing in your early 20s. Learning, growing, working hard, and figuring out who you're becoming. Outside of school, Sarah was a homebody in the best sense of the word. Me too, girl. She loved board games, quiet evenings, and weekends with her boyfriend, Brian. Neither of them needed noise or chaos to feel fulfilled. They were content staying in, comfortable in routine, happy with each other's company. Sarah's life wasn't flashy, but it was steady, and she was very proud of what she had built. As she should be.
As she should be. Sarah had received some amazing news that she would be starting work at CNA Financial Corporation in downtown Chicago. For a 22-year-old, this was a huge achievement.
Yeah.
I mean, downtown Chicago, that's a big deal, guys. If you don't know, that's a big deal. In 22. It meant stability and independence and the beginning of a professional life she had carefully planned. Now, that new job is what brought Sarah to Lane Bryant that morning. She needed winter work clothes, professional outfits that would help her feel prepared walking into an office tower in the middle of a Chicago winter because they're dreadful.
Oh, no, thank you.
Been there, worked, it's dreadful. This was just another box to check as she stepped into adulthood.
Sarah walked into the Lane Bryant in Tinley Park expecting to browse racks, maybe ask a question, maybe find a sale. She had no reason to rush, no reason to feel uneasy, no idea that anything about this day would be remembered for the wrong reasons. While Sarah was trying to find the perfect business outfits, another woman was making her way to the same store for an entirely different reason, but with the same expectations of going in and out, then back to her day.
So Carrie Chuzo was 33 years old and lived in Frankfort, Illinois. She was in the middle of what should have been one of the happiest chapters in her life. She was a social worker at Homewood Flossmoor High School, her alma mater, a place that wasn't just her workplace. Oh, there's the sound of the wine.
It's wine.
It's wine time.
It's wine podcast listeners. It's wine, not while I'm using the restroom.
She's doing that, but since I can't have any, she's going to drink double.
Okay. That's true. Also, by the way, if you're listening on the pod, if you check over our YouTube channel, we do have visuals that go along with our stories. If you'd like to see images of the victims in their gore, Carrie just has the most beautiful smile. Just gorgeous.
She is a glowing bride in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, this was her alma mater. So that meant it wasn't just her workplace, but it was her community. She graduated from the school in 1993. She went on to earn her degree from DePaul University and completed her master's in social work at Loyola University, Chicago. 10 years after walking those same halls as a student, she returned as a counselor, determined to help the kids who needed it the most.
Yeah. She coached the girls' golf team. She became a certified bus driver so she could personally take students to volunteer projects. She held weekly meetings with students in the Delta program. It's an alternative school for teens facing expulsion. And Carrie didn't just counsel students, she invested in them. Now, outside of work, Carrie was vibrant, outgoing, and full of joy. If you saw that wedding picture, yes. Yes. Friends described her as party-loving, outspoken, and someone who lived life with a palpable enthusiasm. And nowhere was that more evident than in her relationship with her new husband, Tony.
And since it is Love Month, makes me happy because their love story moved fast and felt right from the beginning. They met at Morgan's Bar and Grill, and I think it's Mokina.
I think so.
Yeah, apologize to any of my Chicago friends that are listening. Tony said it was her smile that captivated him instantly. She's got a great smile.
Mm-hmm.
Their first date was at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm like, nothing wrong with that. There. 7 months later, he proposed in a Chicago hotel suite filled with candles, rose petals, and toy frogs. A personal way of telling her she found her prince.
I know. It's beautiful.
So they were married on June 10th, 2006 at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Homewood with the reception at Olympia Fields Country Club. And standing at that same altar years later, Tony would call their wedding day the happiest day of his life.
Oh, gosh. Oh, it's getting harder. It's getting harder as we're going into the story to not start crying already. But now on the evening of February 2nd, Carrie has some exciting plans. She was supposed to meet up with former classmates from DePaul University, a casual get-together, the kind you look forward to after a long week. She wanted something new to wear, something that made her feel good walking into a room of people you haven't seen for a while. And when Carrie walked into Lane Bryant in Tinley Park that morning, she expected to grab an outfit, maybe check the mirror, and then head on to the rest of her day. A dinner with friends and a life waiting at home. But she never made it to that dinner, and she never made it to her home. And just like that, Carrie, another woman, arrived at the same store, not because it was part of her routine, but because life had simply placed her there that day.
Okay, I'm getting ready. My nose is like, it's so. Jennifer Bishop, who went by Jenny, had turned 34, just 4 days before her and her husband traveled from South Bend, Indiana, to Tinley Park, Illinois. Jennifer was a devoted, loving mother, not to one child, but to 3 young children, 7, 5, and 6 months. That's some work. She was a 1992 graduate of Marion High School and was known there for her basketball and softball skills. She went on to earn a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Indiana University in 1996 and had already begun working at Memorial Hospital the year before. She had spent more than a decade caring for patients, most recently as a charge nurse in the ICU. And it was a role she was especially proud of, and she should be, because that is a hard role.
Very hard role. Now, outside the hospital, Jenny's world revolved around her family. She married Brian Bishop in 1997, and together they raised their 3 children. Friends and family described her as a deeply involved mother. How she had the time, I don't know, but she was.
I'm like, how did you work as a nurse too and a chart? Oh, I
don't even know, but amazing. Her children, loved one says, were her life. Jenny had traveled to Tinley Park with her husband, Brian, who was attending a work conference in town that day. While Brian was occupied, Jenny needed something to do, something small to fill the time before they reunited later that evening.
For her birthday, one of her family members had given her a Lane Bryant gift card, so she decided, why not go pick out a new outfit for the evening? Nothing elaborate, just something nice. Jennifer Bishop ended up inside that Lane Bryant because of timing. A conference, a birthday card, and a few hours to pass before the evening. Something so many of us have done. Another woman had arrived for a different reason entirely. She wasn't traveling or visiting. She just happened to live minutes away.
Yeah. Connie Woolfolk was 37 years old, and she was a mother first always. She was raising 2 sons, ages 16 and 10, while also sharing a home with her mother. Her oldest attended Homewood Flossmoor High School, the very same school where fellow victim Carrie Chuso worked. An intersection of lives that would only be understood later. Her youngest son, just 10 years old, lived with spina bifida, a condition that required constant care, patience, and attention. And Connie gave all of it without hesitation. Connie was known as a hardworking, upbeat, and capable woman. A straight-A graduate at Crete Monee High School, she worked for the village of Park Forest for several years, serving in finance and community development roles.
Later, Connie worked as a real estate broker and mortgage lender. She had recently started a mortgage company with her mother with the goal of helping bring economic development to Park Forest. Friends described her as an entrepreneur, driven, optimistic, and determined to build something better for her family. To support her family, Connie worked overnight shifts at Target, the same Target that shared a parking lot with Lane Bryant. Connie loved her family fiercely. She worked hard. She protected her own. And if someone she cared about needed defending, Connie didn't hesitate.
No. No, she didn't, as we'll see. That Saturday, Connie wasn't running errands for work or family. She was doing something rare. She had just gotten a manicure and a pedicure, her first in a long time, and had plans for a girls' night out, which for someone like her in her life is a once very rare opportunity. So before heading home, she stopped by Lane Bryant to pick up an outfit. It was just meant to be a quick stop, a small indulgence, and a much-earned moment just for herself. Connie Woolfolk didn't just become a victim that day. She became a reminder of what courage looks like when a mother refuses to go quietly, even in the face of unimaginable violence. Another woman was present that day, someone whose life would take a different turn. She would survive, but she would never forget.
Now, for the sake of privacy, we are not going to share her name. Sorry,
Well,
guys.
nobody knows it, actually.
It's largely anonymous.
Yeah.
Sorry. A woman reporters have occasionally called Martha. She was 33 years old and worked part-time at Lane Bryant, typically covering weekend shifts, and spent the rest of her time attending school for nursing, working towards a career dedicated to helping others. Lane Bryant was a job she chose for extra income, a way to gain experience, and a temporary step along a path to a future in healthcare. She was a student, a worker, and was doing her best to balance responsibilities with ambition.
Yes. All those women are just.
I mean, what a group of women to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, every single one of them just leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's get into that day. So by 10 a.m. on Saturday, February 2nd, 2008, the Lane Bryant in Tinley Park opened its doors and was quietly busy for a weekend sale, but not yet crowded. Inside, Rhoda McFarland moved through the store with calm purpose. As store manager, she was already thinking about the team and the weekend sale, straightening displays and checking in with her employee, Martha. There were only 2 customers in the store at the time, both women looking through blouses and sales racks. 2 ordinary, everyday women just buying a little something for themselves. The 4 women were all in the same space. None of them knew each other personally. Most were strangers. Yet, for those moments, they shared a quiet humanity, a simple coexistence in the small suburban store. The scene could have been any weekend in any store, anywhere. In just a few minutes, all of that would change.
Around that same time, a man entered the store. He was a black man of average height, a little husky, with several cornrows pulled back from his face, with one distinct braid hung over his right ear, ending in small green beads. The man said he was a delivery driver and began chatting casually with Rhoda at the front of the store. He carried himself with confidence, was not hurried or nervous, and he appeared to belong there. He had papers in his hands, enough to make the story feel legitimate. For several minutes, nothing about the interaction seemed alarming. But Rhoda noticed something. As the store's manager, she knew the schedule. No delivery was expected that morning. To be certain, she stepped aside and called another nearby Lane Bryant location to confirm. While she was checking, the man stayed inside the store.
Approximately 15 minutes had passed, and then, without warning, the situation changed. The man pulled a gun from his pocket, and the casual conversation ended instantly. The tone shifted from routine retail work to terror. He began yelling, directing his commands not just at the 2 employees, Rhoda and Martha, but also at the 2 other women in the store. Women who had just come in to shop. Women who had no connection to one another. Women who were, by every definition, in the wrong place at the wrong time. In a matter of seconds, the ordinary morning inside Lane Bryant was over, and the worst moments of their lives had begun.
Once the gun became visible, the man's intentions became unmistakable. He began by demanding money, ordering the employees to empty the cash register, then insisting that each woman hand over the cash from their own purse or wallet. He took what he could see, rings, necklaces, visible jewelry, stripping the women of anything that looked valuable. At gunpoint, 4 women, Rhoda, Martha, and the 2 female customers, were then forced toward the back of the store into an area typically off limits to shoppers. It was quieter and more isolated.
Mm-hmm. The man had come prepared. He produced duct tape and bound each woman, restraining their arms and forcing them to lie face down on the floor. With the women defenseless, he made at least one brief but degrading sexual advance, a moment of violation that stopped short of assault. None of the women were undressed, but the humiliation continued. The gunman grabbed underwear from a nearby display and placed it over the women's heads, likely to keep them from seeing him or from seeing each other, which he had already been there for a while, so I really don't understand that, but okay. 2 additional women entered the store, unaware of what was unfolding beyond the sales floor. One of those women was Connie Woolfolk, who had just finished her manicure and was glancing around for a dress suitable for a girls' night out.
The gunman quickly turned his attention to them, forcing them at gunpoint towards the back of the store. But Connie Woolfolk, she fought back.
Yeah,
she resisted. And the response was immediate and violent. The gunman struck her in the face at least once, believed to be from the butt of the handgun. She was left bruised and bleeding ever before he forced her into the back room. There, the final 2 women were bound with duct tape and clothing, just like the others, in order to lie face down on the floor. By now, 6 women were restrained together in that back room. That horrifies me. The thought of just tomorrow's Saturday, or no, this
Friday.
Weekend's going to be Saturday. Tomorrow's Friday, and you're going to be in a store, and it could happen.
Yeah. That's the most horrifying part of this whole story. Yeah. Really. Now, nearly 40 minutes had passed since the gunman first walked into the store. What had initially appeared to be a controlled robbery began to unravel. He was starting to lose his composure, struggling to regain control after bringing the last 2 hostages into the room. And in that moment, in the confusion, Rhoda McFarland saw a chance. Still wearing her Bluetooth headset, Rhoda quietly activated her phone and dialed 911. The call reached the Will County Sheriff's Department and was quickly transferred to Tinley Park Police, who had jurisdiction. Authorities have never released the full audio, but we do have a part of it for you guys.
We're at Tinley Park. Stay on the line. Stay on the line. Let me get you to Tinley Park. Don't hang up.
It appears that the gunman noticed, because just moments after that call was made, the situation escalated, as he then opened fire on the 6 women, shooting them one by one, execution style. For 5 of the women, death was immediate, but 1 woman survived. The part-time employee, Martha, who had opened the store that morning alongside Rhoda, turned her head at the final second. The bullet grazed her neck instead of striking her fatally. She went still. She played dead, and she remained there, bound, injured, and surrounded by silence as the gunman fled the store.
The police response that morning was swift, almost unnervingly so. When Rhoda McFarland whispered Lane Bryant into her Bluetooth headset, help was already close. An officer happened to be just a few hundred feet away, sitting in the parking lot of the neighboring Target. Within 1 minute, he was at the store. The officer entered cautiously, weapon drawn, sweeping through the quiet store. When he found what he found in the back room would haunt Tinley Park forever. 5 women lying motionless on the floor, and one who was still breathing. In a minute.
I mean, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. Within minutes, the store filled with flashing lights and first responders. Paramedics rushed in, desperately trying to save lives. But for Rhoda McFarland, Sarah Szafranski, Carrie Chuso, Jennifer Bishop, and Connie Woolfolk, it was already too late. All 5 were pronounced dead at the scene. Sorry, guys.
I told y'all, you're going to need your Kleenex. It's okay. It's just, oh.
As word spread, Tinley Park police were joined by officers from surrounding cities and counties. The entire Brookside Marketplace shopping center was locked down. Lane Bryant, Target, PetSmart, restaurants all became part of an expanding crime scene. Witnesses later described officers moving through nearby businesses with hands on their holsters, searching aisles and back rooms, prepared to encounter the gunmen hiding anywhere.
I can't even imagine how scary that scene was for everyone.
I'm scared, and we're just covering it. I mean, I can't.
Yeah. In the chaos, police detained a man named Sean Tyus, who was sitting in a car in the Target parking lot. Officers, examined the soles of his shoes and repeatedly asked him, wouldn't be a new show of the year if Llama didn't have a llama burp. Okay, sorry. They questioned him about beads in his hair, the same beads witnesses had described on the gunman. But Sean had answers for them, though. He had arrived after the shooting. He was waiting for his girlfriend who was shopping inside Target. He had no weapon, no beads removed, no connection at all. And after more than an hour, he was cleared. Like the women inside Lane Bryant, Sean Tyus had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Now, over the next several years, guys, I don't know why that came through. Over the next several hours, police deployed a helicopter to scour the surrounding area. Officers searched a nearby retention pond, hoping to find a discarded gun. Every lead was chased, but the reality was harsh. The shopping center just sat off Interstate 80, a straight shot out of town, out of the county, and potentially out of state. Whoever committed this crime could have vanished within minutes. Guys, that's exactly what appears to have happened. As the investigation expanded, so did the scope of the search. According to reporting at the time, police were even said to be looking for the shooter as far away as South Haven, Michigan, suggesting investigators believed he may have fled the state shortly after the attack.
In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, the woman known publicly only as Martha was treated at the scene. Shot in the neck, but alive, she was rushed to a local hospital, where doctors stabilized her and quietly released her the following day. But freedom for her wasn't immediate, because she was the only eyewitness to what happened inside that back room. Police made the decision to place her in protective custody, not just for her safety, but for the safety of her loved ones. Investigators feared the gunman could attempt retaliation if he believed she could identify him. Right? Like, I can't even imagine,
I can't even
your whole
try
life just
to put myself in her shoes.
Mm-mm. She's a fucking hero, you guys.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what.
For weeks, Martha lived under police protection, isolated from a normal life while trying to process what she had survived. During that time, she spoke with investigators again and again. She described the gunman's appearance in painstaking detail, the way he moved through the store, the sound of his voice, and the notable shift in his demeanor as the situation began to unravel. She walked through the ordeal minute by minute, helping them reconstruct exactly what happened inside Lane Bryant that morning. Because no one else survived that back room, Martha's account became the foundation of the entire case. Every composite sketch, every suspect comparison, every public facing description of the killer, all of it traced back to what she saw, heard, and remembered.
Within days of the murders, police released an initial description based largely on Martha's statements. The gunman was described as a medium complexion black man, approximately 5'9", weighing between 230 and 290 pounds. He was reported to have been wearing a waist-length coat, a black knit cap, and dark jeans. Where did our banner go, by the way? We do have a banner here for information. If anybody knows who we're talking about, you recognize his face,
Call.
Please. Well, over time, however, the description of the gunman subtly shifted. Later, reward posters would list the suspect as at least 6 feet tall, a small but notable change, and one that underscored how heavily the case depended on the memory of a single traumatized survivor. Like, if she didn't, like, oh my gosh, we would literally know nothing.
They would know nothing. And that responsibility, and you're going through trauma, and you want to forget this person. You don't want to sit there and try to focus on, Martha, you are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Martha had lived through the unimaginable, and in the absence of any other eyewitness, her recollection, imperfect, human, and shaped by terror, became the lens through which the public came to know the Lane Bryant killer. But survival came with a cost. Martha wasn't just carrying her own trauma. She was carrying the weight of being the last voice for 5 women who never got to tell their story.
Ugh.
And eventually she felt compelled to speak. Not to the public, but to the families who had lost everything. She wrote an open letter addressed to the loved ones of Rhoda McFarland, Sarah Szafranski, Carrie Chuso, Jennifer Bishop, and Connie Woolfolk. The letter was later delivered to the press through the Tinley Park Police Department.
In it, she expressed grief, sorrow, and an unimaginable kind of survivor's guilt, knowing she had lived when 5 others had not. It was not a statement seeking attention. It was a woman trying to make sense of the impossible. This open letter read, "On Saturday, February 2nd, an unspeakable tragedy occurred, and 5 of the bravest women I have ever met were senselessly murdered and taken from their families. My deepest sympathies and condolences go out to their families and friends. Please know that during the unfathomable events of that day, their thoughts were focused on you and coming home. My heart aches that they were unable to do so, and I am working with the authorities in any way possible for all of the victims. I ask that the media please respect all of our families and allow us to grieve and cope privately with the horrific crime that ripped our worlds apart. I also ask that everyone respect that neither I nor my family can discuss the horrible events of that day. I thank everyone who has expressed concern and ask that any person who can assist in the investigation contact the authorities immediately. And while Martha had survived the gunman that morning, the road ahead, marked by fear, trauma, and unanswered questions, would prove to be far more complicated.
Guys, and I also just want to say, she did not need to release an open letter. She spoke to those families. And if anybody wants to say something for her not coming forward, bite your tongue.
I mean, I don't know how more forward she needs to be. We don't need to know her.
We don't need to know her name. We don't need to know. We don't need what she's done. She survived that. She did what she needed to do. She survived.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, police were careful and consistent about how they framed what had happened inside that Lane Bryant. Almost immediately, law enforcement described the shooting as a robbery gone wrong. The same afternoon of the shooting, Sergeant T.J. Grady of the Tinley Park Police Department told reporters that it appeared to be a robbery that had, quote, at some point went rather poorly.
You don't say.
It's like, you don't say, sir.
I mean, what else do you say, though?
I mean, like, what else could you say? Not shaming him, because what else could you say? Police repeatedly emphasized that this case was extremely sensitive. They asked the public for patience, and they declined to release many details, stating again and again that key information needed to remain confidential in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation.
Yes, behind the scenes, however, detectives were working through a fundamental question. Was this personal? Investigators began digging into the lives of all 6 women, searching for any connection that might explain why these women had been targeted. They examined family histories, work, relationships, romantic partners, financial records, and past conflicts. And what they found was nothing. These were not women with criminal histories. They didn't have high-risk lifestyles. None were entangled in disputes that would reasonably escalate to mass murder, though I don't know what reasonable is, but yes, okay. They were retail workers, a nurse, a social worker, mothers, daughters, wives, and students.
Equally important, investigators did not believe the woman recognized the gunman. According to the survivor's account, the man remained unmasked throughout the whole ordeal, yet none of the women reacted as if they knew him. There was no familiarity, no recognition, no moment suggesting this was someone from their past. This gunman also lingered inside the store for roughly 40 minutes, guys. 40 minutes, which is an unusually long time for someone committing a targeted personal attack. Further supporting the idea that this wasn't about who they are.
I mean, it was a public place, too. You'd have no idea how many people were going to come in that morning.
I mean, no idea. There could have been 1. There could have been 10.
There could have been several men coming in this all-woman store. Like, no idea.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which left investigators circling back to the explanation they had offered from the start. Robbery. The gunman had demanded money from the register, as well as cash from each woman's purse or wallet. He had taken visible jewelry. In total, He made off with roughly $200 plus whatever jewelry he had collected. On paper, that supported a robbery motive. But over time, skeptics, including members of the public, began raising questions.
For example, Lane Bryant is not a cash-heavy business. Most customers pay with credit or debit cards, and the clothing itself is relatively affordable. It's not really your ideal place to rob. This was not a high-end boutique and not a location known for large sums of money. And the timing mattered. The gunman entered the store shortly after it opened, around 10 a.m. It's possible he believed money from the previous day was still inside, but Lane Bryant made its deposits nightly, as many stores do, meaning cash levels would have been minimal. And this guy, in my opinion, this isn't the first time he's done this. So he would know that this is not worth your time at 10 in the morning. To have these kind of cojones to do what he did? Like,
Yeah.
This can't be his first time.
At 6'8", I don't see how it could be his first time.
So investigators were left with a troubling contradiction. If this was a robbery, it was a poorly chosen target, a poorly chosen time that escalated into an act of extreme and unnecessary violence.
Yeah, why didn't he just turn around and leave when he heard the phone call?
Right? He never covered his face.
Never covered his face. Never, yeah. But as the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the investigation stalled. There was no suspect, no arrest, no clear explanation. Oh, there's that sound.
I'm sorry.
God, I am so jealous. So jealous. Okay. But like I said, there's no explanation for why 5 women were executed and one nearly killed over what amounts to pocket change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not $200 isn't nothing, but it's not 5, potentially 6 lives. So, no, it's pocket change, which is why more than almost 2 decades later, the question isn't just who did this. It's why 5 women were made to die in that way and that place over almost nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are some other motive theories where people believe that the real motive was much more sinister. In this interpretation of events, the Lane Bryant shooting was not about money, or at least not primarily. Instead, the robbery functioned as a cover, a socially recognizable explanation that allowed the gunman to enter the store, exert control, and delay intervention while he carried out something he had likely rehearsed in his mind long before that morning. One of the strongest arguments for this theory is the power and control dynamic present throughout the crime. The gunman did not rush. He did not grab what he could and fled. He stayed inside the store for approximately 40 minutes, calmly directing the movements of the women, binding them, forcing them to the floor, and stripping them of their autonomy. This kind of prolonged domination is rarely necessary in a robbery, but it is central to crimes driven by control, humiliation, and psychological power.
I think money was secondary, but the interpretation is further supported by the sexualized elements of the crime. While no sexual assault occurred in the traditional sense, the offender reportedly made unwanted sexual contact, placed underwear over the women's heads, and left them bound, face down, and defenseless. Sexual violence does not require intercourse. Okay, people, I'm going to say that again. Sexual violence does not require intercourse. Degradation, exposure, and fear can be just as integral to an offender's gratification.
Mm-hmm.
It's about power, people. It's about control. These actions suggest a desire not just to restrain the women, but to dehumanize them. The gunman arrived prepared, carrying duct tape and a firearm, and using a ruse to gain trust.
Mm-hmm.
Victims appeared interchangeable, suggesting that the location and circumstances mattered more than the individuals themselves. He doesn't like women, guys.
That's one of the theories. So this supports the idea that the offender did not target these women personally, but rather selected a setting that would reliably provide access to vulnerable victims, privacy, and time. The Lane Bryant store wasn't chosen randomly. It was chosen strategically. This theory also accounts for the sudden shift in the gunman's behavior. According to the survivor, he initially appeared calm and controlled, but over time, his demeanor changed. Resistance from one of the women, Connie Woolfolk, the length of the incident, and ultimately the realization that a 911 call had been made may have triggered a loss of control. Can't have those women overpowering me, can we? In crimes rooted in dominance, that loss can be intolerable. And when control slips, violence often escalates rapidly. Rather than improvisation, the execution-style shootings may have represented a final assertion of power. Because they broke the fantasy, in my opinion.
They messed up his. Another troubling layer to this theory is the possibility that the victims were targeted because they were women.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's all be real, a woman's clothing store insured female victims, workers, even if there was no customers. The humiliation aspects of the crime were gendered. The offender appeared comfortable exerting prolonged control over women specifically. Familiarity, while not personal, this suggests that the violence may have been motivated by misogyny, resentment, or a desire to punish women as a group rather than any one individually.
Marav asked, is there an age progression version of this mugshot? Not that I could find.
Yeah.
This is a much better one than they originally had. But you'll see later. But as far as I know, this is the most recent one that they have. I agree. Let's try to get some age progression ones. We do have the technology. I think this one was from like 10 years ago, maybe.
I mean,
which is still great.
Technology. It's still great, but we've got the technology.
Yeah. But we'll see later. We do bring up a slide. They actually did this in all different like types of hair, facial hair, all sorts of options they've put out of what this man may look like. So yes, you're welcome. You are welcome. So finally, some believe the offender may have been familiar with the store itself. He seemed confident in its layout, knew where to take the victims, and was aware of staffing patterns. This doesn't mean that he knew the women, but it suggests he may have visited before, observed the environment, or even rehearsed the scenario mentally. That familiarity would help explain both his comfort level and his willingness to remain inside the store for such an extended period. Taken together, these elements form a chilling alternative explanation, and if that is true, it reframes the crime entirely. Not as a moment of panic, not as a crime of opportunity, but as something far more deliberate and far more disturbing.
I mean, guys, chain stores, he could have gone to a different Lane Bryant location and seen that it was probably set up the same way. That is scary. As the investigation stalled and leads failed to materialize, the focus is inevitably shifted away from the man who had taken 5 lives and back to the women whose lives had been taken. In the days following the shooting, a $100,000 reward was announced for information leading to the gunman's arrest. Half of that amount was donated by Lane Bryant's parent company, Charming Shops Incorporated, in an effort to encourage tips and bring some measure of accountability to a case already slipping into uncertainty. But even as law enforcement searched for answers, there was an immediate recognition that something else mattered just as much.
That's right. On February 6, 2008, Lane Bryant announced the creation of the Lane Bryant Tinley Park Memorial Fund, established in honor of the 5 women who had been killed. The company also offered to cover the costs of the victims' funerals, ensuring that their families would not bear that burden in the midst of unimaginable grief. For the public, these gestures marked a turning point. The story was no longer just about an unsolved crime. It became about remembrance, about honoring 5 women whose lives were full, active, and ongoing until they were abruptly cut short. And one by one, communities gathered to say goodbye. And this is where you're going to need your Kleenexes, you guys. Just let you know.
And I'm going to just say, a company stepping up to do that is the right thing to do. Okay, guys, I've got my Kleenex, and I'm going to just be honest, I've been dreading this part, so I'm jealous that you're drinking wine.
Sorry.
It's okay. In the hours after the shooting, Rhoda McFarland's family waited at the Tinley Park police station, praying for her safe return. They already feared the truth, having seen her van on the news, but nothing could prepare them for the confirmation. To most of the world, Rhoda was just one of the 5 women whose lives were taken that fateful February day inside the Lane Bryant store. But to those who loved her, and there were many, Rhoda was never defined by the way her life ended. In the days that followed, tributes poured in, videos of Rhoda preaching, laughing, and hugging. Messages of grief and faith filled comment sections and memorial pages.
Rhoda was 42 years old, newly engaged to her fiancé Stuart, and standing at the beginning of what should have been a joyful new chapter. Instead, within days of her death, friends, family, and community members gathered to say goodbye. Not just once, but again and again, as if no single service could fully contain the impact she had made. A public memorial was held in Crest Hill, the same town where Rhoda had once served as pastor. Her preaching was passionate and personal, often punctuated by one line she repeated again and again. Whenever I leave this world, I will leave empty. And she meant it. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, Amos.
Thank you, Amos. That
Appreciate them. Just saying, we'll acknowledge it later. I just wanted to let you know that we saw it. That's all.
No, appreciate it. More than 800 people filled the Word of Life Church, packing the pews and standing along the walls. Reverend Tim Bagwell addressed the crowd with a reminder that would echo throughout the days that followed. Her death has the ability to overshadow her life, and that should not be. She should not be remembered as a victim. That sentiment shaped everything that came next. Rhoda's funeral drew hundreds more, including at least a dozen preachers from the Joliet area where she had grown up. The service carried a celebratory tone, not because the grief was small, but because her faith was enormous. Stories were shared of her infectious smile, her dynamic preaching, and her uncanny ability to show up exactly when someone needed her.
That's right. Though it had been her day off, Rhoda had gone into work that Saturday morning to simply help. Quote, she volunteered this time last week to go in and help, Reverend James Hamilton told mourners. This reminds me of someone, and his name is Jesus. Her casket was draped in an American flag, honoring her service in the U.S. Air Force. A nearby collage of photographs captured her life in motion, preaching, laughing, hugging friends, and mentoring young girls. Quote, look at that pretty smile she had, like she was up to something, her friend Larry Crawford said. She was a person of grace.
Her smile is a smile you just can't, now that everybody has seen it, if those that are watching, you will never forget that smile. Never. Rhoda poured herself into the people around her. She didn't have children of her own, but she became a mentor and a surrogate mother to countless young girls through a program she founded called Princesses Unveiled, teaching everything from etiquette and self-worth to crafts and financial literacy. She was just a giving person in every manner of the word, her friend Anthony Franklin said. After stepping away from full-time ministry to expand Princess Unveiled, Rhoda took the job at Lane Bryant, a role that gave her flexibility and unexpectedly fulfillment. Even there, she found ways to help others, using that employee discount to purchase clothing for people in need.
We all need to be like Rhoda.
I'm like, we all need to be a little bit more like Rhoda.
I agree. Oh, gosh, okay. Barbara McFarland believes that even in her final moments, her daughter remained who she had always been. Quote, we know that before she took her last breath, she said something to her killer, she said. She may have prayed for him. She might have given him a word of encouragement, but she said something, and it's going to work on his mind. In just 43 years, Rhoda McFarland lived a life of service, faith, and relentless generosity. And those who loved her are determined to remember her, not for the violence that took her, but for the compassion she left behind. And she definitely, like I said, makes me want to be a better person. All these women make me want to be a better person, I'll be honest. But Rhoda, amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Carrie Hudak Chuzo was the kind of person people remember for the way she made them feel. She was warm, present, and steady. someone who showed up quietly and consistently and somehow made everything around her better without ever asking for recognition. The day Carrie was killed was supposed to be simple. She was running errands, stopping by the bank, picking up gifts from family, grabbing a shawl at Lane Bryant before heading to a child's birthday party. After that, she and Tony planned to spend the day together in Chicago, shopping on Michigan Avenue and meeting friends for dinner. A rare day off, but a normal day.
She called Tony to say she was heading to Lane Bryant. That was the last time he heard her voice. Hers is so hard too. They're all so hard. When the call came from a coworker instead, telling him about the shooting, Tony tried calling Carrie over and over, and she didn't answer. The best day of his life had been their wedding day, and that Saturday became the worst. Carrie's death sent shockwaves through her family and her school. Her brother, Mike Hudick, spoke about the daily 12:15 p.m. phone calls they shared, usually just short lunchtime check-ins filled with advice, laughter, and celebrity gossip. Just 12 hours after Carrie was killed, Mike's daughter was born, and they named her Carrie. I'm sorry, I can't imagine.
Within 12 hours, 13 hours, lose your sister, friend. And then you become a dad and you have a little girl.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. I told you all this is tough. Her funeral at St. Joseph's Catholic Church was the first held for the Lane Bryant victims. More than 500 people filled the pews. There were few dry eyes. I mean, we can vouch for that. Ours sure as hell ain't dry right now.
I keep biting my tongue to make sure I don't bawl.
Right? A choir sang from the balcony. Students, colleagues, friends, and family gathered to say goodbye to a woman who had given so much of herself to others.
As a social worker at Homewood Flossmoor High School, her office was known as a safe place, a haven for students who were struggling, angry, overwhelmed, or simply unsure where they fit. Carrie had a gift for meeting students where they were. She didn't judge people. She judged behavior. She balanced empathy with accountability, and students trusted her because of it. Many credited her with changing and, in some cases, saving their lives. Principal Von Mansfield captured it perfectly at her memorial when he said, "Where people are ordinary, Carrie puts extra in front of ordinary. She quietly was a part of all that we do." Students spoke through tears. One sophomore said Carrie had saved his life and helped him control his anger. 3 young women from the Delta program gave a eulogy together. "You brightened up the darkest day," one said. "Your laugh was like music to me." This man impacted so many people, so many people, by taking these beautiful lives.
Carrie Chuzo didn't just leave behind grief. She left behind impact. Her family began raising money through an annual Carrie Fest, driven by the belief that lost could not be the final chapter. Quote, "This couldn't be it. This is not just goodbye and just move on," Carrie's brother Mike Hudak later said. The funds raised in Carrie's name have since paid for multiple scholarships, supporting students not only to four-year colleges, but also to trade schools, paths that reflected the realities and hopes of the students she once served.
Scholarships in her name, an annual Carrie Fest fundraiser. Students who graduated because she believed in them when no one else did. A husband who adored her. A family forever changed. She went into that store as a shopper, just another woman running errands on a Saturday morning. But she is remembered as so much more. A counselor, a coach, a wife, a sister, a friend, and a quiet force for good whose absence is still deeply, deeply felt. And in telling her story, we remember what was taken, not just a life, but a light.
God. Oh, I hate this guy so much.
I hope he's suffering.
Sarah Szafranski was the youngest of the 5 women killed at the Lane Bryant store, just 22 years old. You have a picture, Amy? You don't know where it is? It's okay. Oh, okay. Everyone who knew Sarah described her in the same way. Loving, bubbly, smart, and kind. She was the type of person whose smile came easily and whose future felt wide open. In a statement released after her death, her family captured both their heartbreak and who Sarah was at her core. Quote, "Our emotions are raw and we are still in shock. There is nothing adequate anyone can say at a time like this. Sarah was loved by all who knew her, and we are counting on that love to sustain us while we mourn."
She was 22. Her life was just beginning. Her funeral at Samian Church in Oak Forest drew more than 200 members. The church was filled with grief for a life cut brutally short. Reverend Michael Meany remembered Sarah as an honor roll student, even in her early school years, someone who had been thoughtful, engaged, and kind long before adulthood. She was probably going to do a lot in this world and didn't get the chance. When her favorite song, "You Are My Sunshine," played during the service, much of the congregation broke down in tears.
Oh, gosh.
Friends of the family struggled to make sense of what happened. One woman summed it up simply and painfully. She was just an innocent bystander. This whole thing is just senseless.
I can't think of stronger words to say.
No, there is no sense for it.
No. You know, that word senseless came up again and again. Sarah hadn't gone into the store for anything extraordinary. She wasn't involved in the robbery. She wasn't targeted. She was just there. And in an instant, everything she could have been was taken away. But Sarah's story didn't end with her death. Her family made the decision to turn their grief into something that would help others. Donations made in Sarah's name were used to establish scholarships for Oak Forest High School students, a way to honor a young woman who had valued education and excelled in it. Sarah's family planned to give out $1,500 scholarships until the funds ran out, quietly associated with opportunity, education, and hope. For those that have received scholarships in Sarah's honor, for them, the money wasn't just financial help, it was a responsibility. Quote, I feel like I have to step up my game, one recipient said. You had to live up to her in everything she accomplished.
A park bench in the oak forest now bears her name, a physical reminder of the youngest victim and of a life paused too soon. In another statement, her family reflected on the unbearable weight of what was lost. She had her whole life in front of her, and it was senselessly taken away. We think about the things that could and should have been, but are not. Sarah Szafranski should be remembered not just as a victim, but as a bright, driven young woman, a daughter, a student, a graduate, a friend whose kindness and potential were unmistakable. Her life mattered. And through the scholarships, the memories, and the people she continues to inspire, her life still echoes forward, even in her absence.
I think her parents doing that is just beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful thing. You know. Next is Jenny Bishop, who was 34 years old at the 34. I am 40. Oh my gosh. Okay. 34 years old at the time of her death. Her family asked that in lieu of flowers, donations be made to the Bishop Children's Education Fund, a reflection of what mattered most to her children, and their future. Jenny worked in the intensive care unit at Memorial Hospital of South Bend, a level 2 trauma center where she routinely cared for patients experiencing the most severe medical emergencies. Her colleagues were accustomed to treating gunshot victims and violent trauma, but this time the loss hit far closer to home.
Memorial Hospital is a level 2 trauma center, said Hospital Administrative Supervisor Nancy Pemberton. These nurses take care of gunshot victims, the worst of the worst. But when it's one of your own, it's unbelievable. The intensive care nurses are in a state of shock and total disbelief. Pemberton described Jenny as an exceptional nurse because she was so very caring of everyone. Adding simply, she had beautiful eyes.
And smile.
And smile. I'm like,
Here's
her
the picture of
smile
her.
is. Others echoed the same sentiment that she was not only a skilled professional, but a deeply compassionate human being.
At her service, the only family member to speak publicly was her sister, Michelle Talos. She urged those gathered not to give in to the weakness of the world and instead to live in the strengthening love of God. She described February 2nd, 2008 as a, quote, a horrible, unfair day, an attack on the dignity of human life, while also acknowledging the remarkable women whose lives had been lost.
Jenny's husband, Brian, would later speak candidly about grief and survival. Now raising their 3 children on his own, he said, oh, Brian, you have to come to terms with what reality is. The reality is she is gone. You don't look too far back or too far forward.
She just had a 6-month-old baby.
Brian, part of that process included returning to the Lane Bryant store alone 1 year after the murders. Going back to the store for a little while was haunting, he said. There's something strangely comforting and oddly eerie about that location.
In the years since, Jenny's legacy has continued through those she's inspired. A nursing scholarship bearing her name is awarded annually to students balancing family life with career aspirations, a reflection of the life Jenny herself lived. Former co-workers remember her as spirited, spunky, incredibly intelligent, and fiercely devoted to both her patients and her family. Though time has passed, the pain has not disappeared, but neither has the impact she's made. Jennifer Jenny Bishop is remembered not for how she died, but for how fully she lived, caring for the sick, loving her children, and showing up every day for the people who needed her most. And I would say spirited and spunky is a perfect encapsulation of her photo. Like that's, oh my gosh, yes.
Looking at that, you're like, ooh, that person's kind of spirited and spunky.
Yeah, she seems lovely and fun. And I'm sure her children, I hope her and her husband, Brian, is doing well.
Agreed.
The best they can.
And working with those kind of victims as a nurse, that's the worst of the worst. You're dealing with life in seconds. I mean, that's a lot to take on daily. So that says she was a special person.
Yeah.
Connie Woolfolk was a devoted mother, a public servant, and the steady heart of her family. The Lord gave her a special child, and she never wavered about taking care of him. Her mother-in-law, Mildred Rodriguez, said, she never wavered. I love this. She was short, but she was mighty, Mildred Rodriguez said. When anyone came up against her, they came up against a brick wall.
That's right. Remember, it was Connie who stood up to this gunman.
Yep.
Like, I don't think so.
So she was mighty. When Connie's father, 62-year-old Melvin Woolfolk, learned what had happened, he said his knees buckled. She was just a loving person who would help anybody. Nobody deserved what happened.
No. More than 1,000 people gathered in Country Club Hills to honor Connie's life, including elected officials, co-workers, family members, and friends. The size of the crowd spoke volumes. Quote, usually, when you walk into a funeral, you are surprised that there are so many people, said co-worker Maddie Tyson. I'm not surprised. There are so many people here today. Those who knew Connie remembered her smile, her strength, and the way she held her family together. She enjoyed family trips to the Wisconsin Dells and was described repeatedly as the heart of her family.
All of these women had amazing smiles.
I know.
Her brother, Aaron Woolfolk, later shared the deeper weight of her loss, coming just 3 years after the death of his best friend. Once again, the family was thrown into grief. Connie left behind 2 sons, a mother, a father, siblings, cousins, and a community still struggling to understand how such a life could be taken so suddenly. But Connie Woolfolk is not remembered for how she died. She is remembered for how fiercely she lived for her children, for her community, and for everyone who crossed her path and felt her warmth. She remains loved, she remains remembered, and she remains as her family and friends describe her, a woman of strength, devotion, and an unbreakable heart.
Now, in every story like this, there is a natural pull towards endings, towards getting answers, arrest, and justice neatly wrapped in a bow. But the truth is, not every case gives us that. And sometimes the most important part of the story isn't how it ends, it's who is left behind. Martha never intended to be the last voice in that room. She went to work that morning expecting a normal Saturday, folding clothes, greeting customers, counting the hours until the end of her shift. Instead, she was shot, left for dead, and forced to make a split-second decision that would save her life.
And when she survived, she inherited something unimaginable. She became the only person who could tell the world what happened inside that back room. In the days, weeks, and years that followed, Martha gave investigators everything she could. Details about the gunman's voice, his movements, his shifting demeanor. She helped reconstruct a timeline that no one else could offer. Her memory became the backbone of the investigation, the foundation for composite sketches, suspect descriptions, and public appeals. And then, quietly, she stepped away. She chose anonymity and privacy. She chose to live the rest of her life outside the shadow of what was done to her. That choice was not a weakness. It was survival.
Mm-hmm. Martha carried trauma most of us can't even begin to imagine. I know I can't. Survivor's guilt, fear, grief, and the heavy knowledge that 5 women died beside her. She bore that weight while asking for nothing in return. No fame, no spotlight, no recognition, just the chance to live. In true crime, we often focus on killers, their motives, their movements, their faces. But this case reminds us why that focus can never be the whole story. Because the most powerful figure in this tragedy isn't the man who pulled the trigger. It's the woman who lived and still lives with the truth. Martha's survival matters. Her voice matters, and her choice to protect her own future deserves as much respect as her bravery in that back room. Until this case is solved, until the man responsible is named, her story remains a quiet act of courage at the center of an unanswered crime. And she is not forgotten.
A $100,000 reward still stands for the information leading to the case's investigation. And unlike many others, this reward is not dependent on conviction.
Which is a big deal.
That's a big deal. If you have any information, no matter how big or small, about the murders that took place on Saturday, February 2nd, 2008, at a Lane Bryant store in Tinley Park, Illinois, or if you recognize this man, you even think he looks familiar, please contact the Tinley Park Police Department tip line at 708-444-5394. Or you can send an email to lanebryant support.tipline@tinleypark.org.
Excellent. Look at all those different composite sketches they have of him. I mean, he's older probably now, but like this guy.
I hope wherever he is, it's awful, it's painful, it's horrific.
It's most likely he probably already has a criminal record, either before, definitely after, probably.
I hope he's in
I would
prison,
say.
getting beat up every day.
Well, with that, how do we know how old he might be now? We don't. This happened in 2008. So even if he was 20 at the youngest, he'd be 38 now. There wasn't really an age, I don't think. I want to say it was very vague. It was like 25 to 40 or something.
I mean, looking at him, I can't give you an age.
I'm going to go with he's not as young as people might think he is.
Yeah.
Because he had to have had like the work experience to pretend to be a delivery driver. He knew what the job of a delivery driver meant.
He was a delivery driver somewhere before.
Exactly. I don't know if it's been to Lane Bryant stores, but he was so comfortable in that role that he had to have done it a long time. So I'm going to go with he's at least probably mid-20s and higher, at least.
Yeah.
Is what I think. I would probably guess though, probably in his 30s. At the time, but
I think he looks in his 30s.
Yeah, but I don't know. People look different, so I think that they could. He'd still be in between his 40s, late 30s to late 60s.
Do we know? I know police hasn't given information, and looking at the research, I don't remember seeing if they have DNA.
They have not mentioned, like, literally everything that's in our thing is all that's out there.
Right. They've kept it quiet.
They have kept everything so quiet. I also think in a way to also, let me tell you what, I really do admire. I know we hate when they keep stuff away from us. It's important for the investigation, but protecting Martha the way that they have is, and not just them, the media as well. The media collectively came together
and said
no. We're not gonna, this was 2008. Social media was a thing, but barely. But that literally could have been a difference in her life between life and death.
They respected her. They also know he's still out there, and if Parabon's listening, reach out to Tinley Park Police, and if they have DNA, do your thing where you take that DNA and you give us a sketch.
I did hear, I was watching not a recap, but like a news blurb on Monday, because that was the 18-year anniversary, right? And this Tinley Park Police Department, they've been now eligible for like federal aid, which is going to open up resources for, technology and things like that. So I would, there is always hope. I know it's been 18 years. Look at what happened with the yogurt shop murders, Terry.
The yogurt shop murders.
You covered that case last year. We didn't know. And then boom, finally,
the yogurt shop murders I covered within the first 5 episodes when I started this podcast in the very beginning. And then we did it again at a live show. And guys, it happens. And we look at technology, DNA, places like Parabon. Look at the Golden State Killer. I mean, if they've got it and they're getting unfortunately, guys, it's a lot of money. Well, and it's not a guarantee. But if they can get some funds.
The only thing I'm worried about with DNA is that it's freaking February in Chicago. Do you know what most people are wearing in February in Chicago when you're a delivery person going in and out? Gloves.
But now
it wouldn't have been weird.
Touch DNA.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know they can, but like we just don't.
Oh, did he he had gloves on in the store?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a delivery driver, you're in and out of the elements all the time. There's like gloves. On? Yeah. Because you're just running in and out. You're not going to put them back. I mean, if you have the right kind of gloves.
Remember where I live.
I know, that's true. That's true.
Remember where I live. I'm like going,
that's true.
Why would you go in the store with your gloves on if you're because you're just going right back out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like work gloves, so they have like grip and stuff, you know. It's like whatever. We don't know whether he was wearing gloves or not, but that is a possibility that could mean there isn't any. But yes, Betty, was touch DNA. I mean, no, but they could still collect the DNA.
Yeah.
And it would apply to them. If we don't, we literally all we've shared with you tonight is all the public knows.
Yeah.
So that's true too, Mara. Sniffles from a cold. See, I'm wondering if whether or not he wore gloves, because here's what I bet you they did do. If he wasn't wearing gloves, they probably, you know how he was standing at like the register talking to Rhoda? Put his hands all over that shit.
4 minutes, you would take your gloves off if you're in the store for 6 minutes, I would
think. I feel like this man, based on us covering a lot of true crime, doesn't mean it's true, would have something in the system. I mean, you just don't do this. You just don't do this and do nothing before or do anything after.
Unless he did it in a small town and they didn't have great police officers and they didn't collect it. I mean, we've covered cases where they don't collect anything.
Yeah. So hopefully something comes to give the families answers on what happened to their truly beautiful loved ones. So.
Yeah. I don't like you, Guy. I don't like looking at you.
No, I take a stupid face down, but it's probably important in case somebody recognizes.
And I mean, guys, the smallest of tips, what you don't know, and I've learned from just trying to investigate a case and helping on it, I have all of these little threads. I just need one little piece that could tie it together.
Yeah, I agree. I think someday we will get answers. And what's crazy is that there were no security cameras in the store in 2008. Like, are you kidding me?
A lot of women's clothing stores that were like that, they didn't have them in the main store because women, you don't want to be watched when you're looking at clothes. And because there was the big uproar, I think it was Foley's, that they had the two-way mirrors. And in Texas, we had a big deal because somebody had a camera behind it. So
gross.
Absolutely, Lady in Gray. If you know something, say something. And that's the other thing. He could have told a girlfriend. He could have been married to somebody. You're broke up now. He wronged you. What I want to tell them, look at how the police have protected Martha.
Exactly. That's
you
true.
Think if you have information, they're not going to protect you. This police department has proven at the very minimum, they can protect this person.
For 18 years.
18 years.
Nobody knows this woman's name. Literally.
So,
like nowhere.
A lot of people say, I don't trust the cops. They won't keep me. If they tell you they will keep it because you could be injured, look at what they've done for her.
I mean, somebody out there knows something, whether they know it or not.
Right.
I don't, who knows? Or maybe this man who had it out for women could be a fucking man and turn himself in.
Do the right thing for once in your life. Maybe you're married and you have kids. Sir, what kind of dad do you want to be? I don't like him at all. So why don't you tell me your
all right. Well, let's get into our closing thoughts. We can take a stupid face down.
I don't like him.
And listen, so they originally we saw the basic sketches earlier that Martha provided, which was the best. I think this one came several years later, maybe like 2014 or something like that. This is like a 3D rendering. This is the closest that they think they can get to what this guy looks like based on Martha's memory, which is still impeccable. I know it looks weird, but I bet if they catch this guy, it's going to look exactly like this guy.
Right.
So,
and I think also people need to remember that This is a woman who was severely traumatized. A bullet grazed your head.
Well, no, she was shot in the neck.
Well, she was shot. That's right. She was shot in. She just turned her head. But think about what that does to your memory, and then having to relive it, go over every second of the day and relive it over and over with the police. That's a
if
big,
Martha can do it, you can too.
Yeah.
All right. So for our closing thoughts, mine's a little it's not ranty. It's very thoughtful because I did write this episode. I'm sorry if I made everybody cry, including myself. I made myself cry a lot. It's
you
fine.
have to learn to just bite your tongue and then you won't cry.
What?
Bite your tongue and you won't cry. Trust me, I've got blood in my mouth.
Oh, do you have to bite it that hard?
Yes, to keep from crying on camera again.
Oh, okay. Well,
you do this to me over and over and over.
I know.
I had to learn.
I'm sorry. No. So my closing thoughts for tonight is that what happened inside of that Lane Bryant store has never been explained in a way that satisfies the heart. We can analyze motives. We can debate theories. We can study timelines, suspect descriptions, behavioral patterns, but none of that changes the most uncomfortable truth at the center of this story. And that's 5 ordinary women woke up on a Saturday morning expecting a normal day and never came home. Rhoda went to help. Sarah went to prepare for her future. Carrie went to find something to wear for dinner. Ginny went to use a birthday card while her husband worked. And Connie went to treat herself before a night out. There was no warning, no decisions they could have made differently, no moment where they should have known. No, their lives intersected for less than an hour, bound together by chance and then by tragedy. And Martha, the woman who survived, has carried the memory of that room for nearly 2 decades. A living reminder that survival is not the same as escape. She walks through a world the others never got to grow old in, holding pieces of a story that still has no ending. And I think this case unsettles us because it challenges a belief most of us quietly rely on. And that's that ordinary places are safe, that routines protect us, that evil has a reason we can point to and understand. But sometimes violence doesn't come with logic. Sometimes it leaves silence where answers should be. So maybe the purpose of this case isn't just to ask who did this. Maybe it's to remember who they were. 5 women whose lives were defined by service, love, family, faith, ambition, and care for others, not by the worst thing that happened to them. A manager who showed up for her day off, a new graduate starting her career, a counselor who saved students, a nurse who saved lives, and a mother who never stopped fighting for her children. They were lives in motion, with futures that were unfolding and their stories still being written. They are not headlines. They are not statistics. And they are not just a mystery waiting to be solved. And somewhere, that man who ended these stories knows exactly what he did. And the rest of us are left with the memory and the grief and with the hope that one day silence will be replaced with accountability. And until then, we all say their names and we tell their stories and we refuse to let the world forget that they were here. Sorry.
No. What gets to me the most about this story is how ordinary that day was for those women. They weren't doing anything risky. They were doing errands, going to work, and they weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time in the way people like to frame those stories, right? They were at work. They were in a store. They were going shopping. It was the middle of the morning. And somehow that still wasn't enough to keep them safe. But I also can't shake the feeling that someone has known the truth for a long time besides him. Not a theory, the truth. And they've chosen silence over doing the right thing. And that choice has consequences, okay? It costs families years of grief without answers. And it's adding to brutal crime, okay, and that has remained to be unsolved or unresolved. What they need to understand by not coming forward and telling what they know, they are protecting this man. They are just as bad. So it's cases like this that I wanted to do, even start a podcast. It's not for shock value. It's not for the headlines, but because these victims deserve to be talked about as people. They're not just cases or numbers or headlines from years ago. They mattered and they still matter. But also, guys, to remind us, it can happen on a normal day. Be aware, be safe, be the one who's willing to call 911.
That's right. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Marav says, how do we know he was a delivery? We don't. He posed as a delivery driver, but I'm going to go with how comfortable he felt in that role playing.
Was it playing just a role? I mean, if he practiced it a lot.
That he had some personal experience. Like, if you ever do improv, right? Nobody really does improv. But if you do, you're going to go on stuff like that you have some sort of knowledge to get the lie across, right? Most lies are based on truth. So that's just my personal theory that this man at some point in his life was a delivery driver. Maybe not to Lane Bryant specifically, but enough that he knew what he should look like, what he needed to carry, how his persona needed to be, how to have casual conversation. You don't know how to do that unless you've done it before. I think.
Agreed.
But that's just me. So
I agree. I mean, I worked in retail. I've taken, deliveries. I still wouldn't be able to impersonate a delivery driver.
No.
Because I've been on the other end of it. So that's why I feel the same way.
And Marav, you're right. Even if the killer's dead by now, even if you think that person is dead, please call the tip line, okay? Yes. The yogurt shop murder, guess what? He's dead.
He's dead.
But now,
families.
How many? 4 families? 4 or 5?
And then also remember, there was men who had been accused, spent time in prison for this, and had their lives ruined for it.
That's true.
So
there's always time to do the right thing.
It'll also heal a community. Think of the children, the family. I mean, just
right.
They go to bed every night.
Jenny's 6-month-old.
Yeah.
No memory of her.
No.
It's horrible. I can't even imagine. Well, thank you all for being here with us tonight. Before we go, we just have a few short little things we want to tell you about on a positive note, now that we've all cried ourselves to tears tonight. Yay. You're welcome, everybody.
I'll send you a bill for my tongue.
Right? So before we go, though, if you do like what you heard tonight, be sure to follow us on all of our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel It's free. Or if you're listening to our pod, please, again, download, give us a rating. All of that helps us tremendously in getting our channel out there, because we got to battle the algorithm gods, and I don't know how they work, but I just know if we do that, it helps us. Help us.
Yes, it does. Now, True Crime and Wine Time will be back next Thursday, February 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we will be on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Lum and I will be covering Maureen McDermott, guilty or innocent.
Yes. A two-parter.
Oh my, it's a two-parter.
And I also wrote this one.
I have so many thoughts, but I'm not going to go down any rabbit holes.
That's true. Is she guilty or innocent on death row? So that'll be a two-parter. I'm very excited about talking about this one. So I do hope you all join us next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for sure. Now, if you haven't, please become a member of our YouTube channel. You really should, because we have all sorts of amazing perks for members, including several shows that are exclusively only for members and much more. So including Llama Learns About for our Besties and Higher, which is one of my favorite things to do on Saturdays. So click the join button on our page and pick whichever level works for you. You guys, our starting level is as low as 99 cents. And you get a show with that. So, I mean, okay.
Yeah. And be sure to check out the merch shop on our website, tcwtmedia.com. And remember, if you're a Cozy Crew or Ride or Die member or higher, you get those sweet discount codes and you can redeem however many times you want. And the shop is ready and open. And you can find that on our community post section on our channel for those members. Guys, there is some adorable stuff right now.
Yeah, and we've had several people order stuff, and it's pretty darn good quality. Hold on. Oh, she's down in the corner. But I'm going to bring her up. Oh, there's Amos wearing our cute little Poe. That's our couch potato. For Couch Crew with Llama. He's so cute. We love him. She is wearing a hoodie that she just got in the mail. You're done now, Amy.
And the True Crime and Wine Time ball cap. My husband told me what I order my own because I keep taking his because it is so well made.
Yeah, I'm getting some leggings next month. Let me tell you what.
I love my leggings.
I have the one Valentine's Day shirt and a Valentine's Day llama mug. I'm very excited about that. But anyway.
Wait till you see the Easter stuff, people.
Oh, yeah.
We have just go check it out.
Just go check it out.
Just
tcwtmedia.com/shop. Maybe a wine bottle holder. Oh, Marav, you are. I like the way you think. Now, tomorrow night is our public show for TMI, Too Much Internet, our favorite way to spend Friday nights. Because listen, we obviously cover a bunch of heavy stuff all week. So this is our one show where we actually get to have a lot of fun, relax, get to show off more of our personalities. And we're going to be deep diving into whatever the hell is going on with Britney Spears. Okay. That girl needs the internet taken away from her because she has had too much of it. And we need to talk about Britney. Okay. So join us for a trip down the subreddit discussing Britney this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys, OMG.
I mean,
so
we are going to be flying on the freeway to get home so that I do not miss Britney because
It's Britney, bitch.
Yes, Britney, bitch.
Sorry for the cursey words, everybody.
Midday Missing returns on Monday, February 9th at noon Central. Now, to start this year off, we are going to be streaming live on Facebook and Kick. Then we will release the full episode on YouTube at the end of the day so that we do not interfere with Couch Court with Llama. Okay?
That's right.
And this season kicks us off with visiting cases in Wyoming.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm going to tell you, Midday Missing is not about laughs and fun, people.
No, it's not.
It's rough.
But it's important.
It's important, and we get through it.
That's right. Well, is there anything you'd like to say before we go? Sign off?
It's great to be back.
Yes.
I've missed hanging out with you guys on Thursday night.
Me too.
And everybody, I know I say this and people give me a hard time. Please be safe. Stay aware of your surroundings, not trying to scare you, but shit happens. And bad things happen. So stay safe. And also, since I can't enjoy my wine time, please, guys, drink wine for me.
Done.
I
got court at 8:30 in the morning.
Not my problem. I'm going to be on the road by 8:30 in the morning, driving from Austin to Dallas. So.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. Well, everyone, again, thank you all for being here for our first show back for season 6 of True Crime and Wine Time. I am so excited about all the upcoming cases we have. Like, you guys, we are going deep. And we got lots of things to say, and we're very excited about it. So thank you all for being here for our first night. It was a big night for us, and we're so happy to have you all here. As always, stay safe, and until next time, go forth and be amazing. Okay. Bye. We'll see you next week.